What's up guys, it's PB. Thanks for tuning in to my latest video, The Life of a Jobbing Plumber. Now I don't know what happened last week, but it was my most successful video ever. So hopefully I can recreate it this week. What I do want to say is I don't like to bug you or annoy people by asking you to like my videos, subscribe every week. But last week I asked people to subscribe to the video and I must have got about 400 new subscribers. So I'm just going to ask, if you're watching this and you like it, please subscribe to the channel, because the more I see the subscribers go up, the more it encourages me to make more videos. So that was that. I think we had a really good response to the mental health question. A lot of guys going through panic attacks, anxiety when the job's getting them down. We'll talk a little bit more about that this week, but I'll put it in the middle of the video, so you'll have to watch a bit further in for that. So this first job I'm going to show you completely ruined my day. My whole day went to shit because of it. And it was just a plate swap on an Ideal isar. Now the issue I had was, I've never done one of these before, even though I've been working 20 plus years. Done lots of other things on those boilers, but never a plate. So I wasn't sure how long it was going to take. Now I allowed myself an hour and a half in the diary for it, and it just, yeah, went completely wrong. So basically I ordered some parts for this boiler. I didn't think they were the right parts, so I rang my local plumb centre. They didn't have it in, but one quite far away did. So I explained to the customer, I've not got the right part, I need to go and fetch it. Are you okay with that? She said, yeah, she was in all day working from home. So I left the job half done, basically. Made it safe, but left it half done. Went to get the parts, went and did all my other jobs. So I didn't get there till later on in the afternoon, evening. And when I got back there, the parts were the same as the ones I'd had in the morning. Even though I was convinced they were wrong, they were actually the right part. So it just turned into a bit of a disaster. But yeah, in this game, one job, overrunning on one job, or not having the right part, or just something going wrong, like something's been botched, or you're taking something apart and something else breaks, can absolutely ruin your day. So this was my first visit to this job. So you can see we've got water dripping from the cold connection onto the boiler. And initially I thought it's just going to be that fibre washer. But further investigation, it seemed to only drip, or it dripped more when the hot tap was in use. And then I followed it up and it was actually leaking from above, from the plate, and then running down. So if I zoom in, you just see there's some water, it's wet around the top connection. So on a plate you've got a flat face, and then there's rubber seals that go into the hydraulic block on both sides. So I quoted the landlord to replace those seals. Fast forward in time, about 2 weeks later, the landlord's accepted the quote and I'm back to do the job. Now, I've done a lot of work on Ideal isars. I don't like them, don't like working on them. Mainly PCBs, but I've never, in my 20-year career, done a plate. So I wasn't sure how easy it was going to be to get it out. Popped on my Instagram, asked anyone, you know, is it easy? Is there any tips to getting it out easy? Most people came back saying it was quite a simple job. So what I'm doing now is I'm draining the system. That's the drain point there, this plastic fitting that comes out the bottom of the hydraulic block. Don't need to isolate the flow and return because the boiler is the highest point in the system. I'm working in a flat. And then we're just going to loosen off the two screws that pull that plate. They pull the plate onto the washers, and that creates the seal. Now with those undone, I wasn't sure how I was going to get the plate out, so I thought I'd take the diverter motor off the top, see if I could get my hand in there, which I kind of could. I think removing that condense trap as well would give you a lot of room. It could easily come out that way. Most people said about it coming out the bottom though. Now once I'd got it removed, you can see there, you can almost get the whole thing out. If we move that gas pipe just to the side, it would also come out the bottom. So it's a toss-up, diverter valve and condense trap, or gas pipe and take it out the bottom. Now, I'm only changing the seal, so I don't need to actually take the plate all the way out. Using a little screwdriver, the smallest one I had, just to ping those washers out of the block. They sort of sit in a little recess. There's the first one. Now, the only washer I struggled to get out was this one on the top. And that's because it's got the domestic hot water flow thermistor. You can just see, put my finger on it, just sticking through there. So it made it hard for me to get that washer out. So decided that I would just take that out. It's only on one nut anyway. Now I have made a video on a 60-second fault finder video on how these flow thermistors work. So I'm just going to drop that in now for you to look at. What's up guys, been called out to this ideal isar with no hot water, but the boiler's not showing a fault code, it's just sat idle. So that tells me straight away that the issue is with the flow sensor, because the boiler doesn't recognise that anyone's opened a tap and is calling for hot water. Now traditionally on a combi you would have a flow switch or a turbine with a Hall effect sensor, which is a little magnet that spins. But on this particular boiler it works off a thermistor, which is basically a temperature sensor. What the PCB is looking for is a change in temperature, so when you open the hot tap, the temperature of the cold mains coming in changes and the boiler knows to fire up for hot water. You can check this by putting your multimeter on the ohm setting and measuring the resistance through the hot water thermistor when you open the hot tap. You can see here as the fresh cold water comes through, the resistance goes up as the temperature drops. Now I've replaced the thermistor, the PCB is recognising the temperature change and the boiler's firing for hot water.
Now this is where I started to have problems. So I've got the 4 washers out and I noticed that the new ones that Plumb Centre gave me were about 4 times the thickness of the ones that I took out. So straight away in my head, that's not right. It doesn't look the same. It's not the same. It's not going to work. It's going to not fit or it's going to leak. So again went on my Instagram, showed a few people, said these are the washers, and they said no, that's right, they squashed down. But I just couldn't believe it because they were so thick. And the old ones are brittle, I couldn't reuse them. I thought about cleaning them up, greasing them up and reusing them, but I just had to go with it. So we are going to fit these massive washers. I'm going to absolutely cover them in silicone grease. One, so it sticks to the inside of the hydraulic block so they don't fall out while I'm messing about with the heat exchanger. That's my grease gun, by the way, if you want one of those, about 11 quid. So I've got it back on, but now the problem I've got is the old screws that held the plate on, because the washers are so thick, they're now not long enough. So this made me doubt myself. I went back to Plumb Centre and got another bag of washers to see if they were any different. They weren't. So my last option was to try and find in my little screw box, my emergency screw box, if I had anything longer. And luckily I did. So you can see we've got 2 different ones. That's a Torx one. Off various boilers that I've decommissioned in the past, I just keep old screws, which has saved me on this job. So I've managed to get that plate back in, screw it up, and now the nerve-wracking bit, turning the water back on. So I put the hot water on, the cold water on first, so I've got water going through the hot tap. Checked it, nothing was leaking, no drips. I always like to do it step by step, because then if you do have a problem, you know what it's linked to, where it's coming from. So once I'm happy that the cold water inlet's okay, then pressurise the system. Again, looking for drips, looking for water pissing out really, because I was 100% sure that this wasn't going to hold. But managed to get it up 1 bar pressure, get it all working. It's actually been in 4 or 5 days now, and the tenant's not rang up to say the boiler's leaking, so it's done the job. But yeah, I don't know. Someone will know where I've gone wrong, whether it was the wrong washer kit or what, but why the screws weren't long enough, because those washers were too big. I don't know. I double checked the part numbers. I ordered the parts twice. I even got spare washers out of a box that came with the plate for this boiler, and they were all the same thickness. So I don't know what's going on. If anyone knows, Ideal Engineers, let me know in the comments.
You probably won't remember this job, but I came out here on a call out and the flame sensing electrode had basically split, snapped off. It was so badly corroded. So I swapped it to get them going, but I recommended they have the boiler service because I said the condition that was in, God knows what's going on inside the heat exchanger. And at the time they said, no, just do the repair, but I'm back today to do the full service. So get this stripped out. Obviously I'm not going to show you step by step, but that's out. Fan, I've just got one fix in there, which I've already took out, and then the fan lifts off. Obviously it's disconnected from the gas supply. There's a fan out. Now we'll take the burner, this off. The burner can be a bit tricky to get out, but you basically got to forward a bit and then turn it up like that, and it comes out sideways. Just be careful with it because it is ceramic. So there's a burner. You can see the burner gasket is absolutely fucked, which is why we always replace them. And then look at the state of that. It's probably never been serviced. So I'm just scraping this off now to get rid of it, get that nice and clean. And then we've got the new gasket there. It's about as clean as I'm going to get it. And then the new gasket will sit in there like that. Lovely. So just going to whip these out for servicing, but also this one we're going to replace it just because of the condition of it. So that's getting replaced. The gasket's gone. Again, it's still stuck on there. But the main reason we take them out is because we need to clean all this. So these are in the way, they'll get damaged while we're trying to clean the heat exchanger. So now they're out, we've got more gasket to clean off here and then all this crap to wash through. So I'm just washing it all down, cleaning it out, and you'll see it comes through, washes down the bottom of the sump, and then that'll fill with the condense trap, which will wash out at the end. When you're happy that's all clean, you've replaced your gasket, just goes back in reverse order. New electrode and gasket. Give the injector a clean. That's a bit better. And just the condense trap left to clean out. Condense trap always goes back in full. And then obviously combustion checks. But yeah, nice little boiler to service. This job is a first fix for a washing machine and an American style fridge freezer, you know, the one with the water dispenser there. Got a core, a hole out for the waste for that hockey stick, and then I've got a core out, a 4-inch hole for a extractor for the tumble dryer. So the cold I've got to bring across behind the fridge. I'll probably move the fridge out in a minute and show you, but basically the nearest place I reckon I can get the cold from is, we've got an outside tap here that comes through the wall in copper. So I'm gonna guess, educated guess, the pipe goes up here. So what I'm gonna do now, make a hole in the wall there, try and find that copper pipe, and then we're gonna come off that through the wall. Hopefully below that socket, but we'll see. Yeah, that's the job. So if you look at the existing wall, we've got the original plaster and then they boarded it. So when we smash the hole to find the pipe in the wall from the outside tap, we're probably gonna have to go through 2 skins to find it, but we'll see. Back there is the outside tap. So guessing the pipe comes up. Neatened the square up a bit, didn't find it there, that's just skimmed directly onto the block, and then we've got dot and dab for this board here. But if you can just see there's a channel there, and I think there's a pipe in that, so just extended the square out a bit. There we go, there's a cold pipe in a channel. So that socket, it's got cables, 2 coming down, and then 1 goes out the back of it. I can't see where that goes, but it doesn't look like it goes down. So I think we're safe to drill through low level, but if we go the other side, that's sort of down here, which means I'm gonna have to, the tap goes out just here. So probably change that elbow to a T to come down, to go through low. Probably take this radiator out of the way so it's not in the way. So this is the stage we're at now. Took the rad off so I could get to it. Obviously I like to make the smallest hole possible, precision work. Nah, I don't think it matters. They're gonna have to replaster it, skim it anyway. Why not make it big enough to work on it comfortably? So what I'm gonna do now is chase this down. So chip all that out so that I can sweat the elbow off, T on there, come down here, and then drill a hole through the wall and take it through, hopefully missing any power that's there. Just smashed a hole under here just to check there's no cables coming down where we're going to come through, but no, this is just a nice void there. In case you're wondering, that's the nice long drill bit I use. So I've just drilled through there and come out the other side. Just here. I'll show you this new viewer I've got while we're on this job. My turbo, so it uses up the same batteries as my cordless gear. Batteries in there. I've got a, I think an 8 amp hour. 8 amp hour in that. Yeah. So it's got suction, and then you can plug it in there for blow. 2 power speeds, and then I've got these attachments. One there, slots in the body. And apparently, don't quote me on this, but the guy told me that you can use it for wet and dry without changing any filters or whatever. It's got a bag in it, so you have to take the bag out, but you don't have to change the filter apparently. And then it's got this button here where you've got it running. You press that 3 times outside and it clears the filter. So yeah, let's try it. I'll put it on speed 2. Strange, it's small, it's a strange shape, but it's small, it's compact. Personally, I prefer it if this went inside it, but whether that bothers you or not, I don't know. That's it. So what I'm doing now, I've got a plastic overflow pipe that I've pushed through from this side. I'm going to cut it there and then solder my elbow up, so that's sleeved through the wall. And also, rather than have to wrap it, because I don't know what the plasterer is going to do, I don't know if he's going to board it or just bond it in. So I'm just going to have my copper pipe inside that, nail on clip to the wall so it's protected. And then just here where it comes out in copper, we'll have the first T elbow. So we've got the 2 cold water supplies. I guess I could just put on 1 and have one of those splitters, but he asked for 2, so we're going to put 2 in. There's my 2 colds soldered in. Just gonna wait for them to cool down, then I'm just gonna wrap that in some gaffer tape just to protect that a little bit. That's that bit done then. So I've wrapped that, clip that to the wall, so that's fixed, and then 2 speed fit caps because he's gonna put board or whatever over there, and then there's gonna be a cupboard go over that. And then when that's in, I'll come back, take them off, and we'll cut these pipes back, put the washing machine taps on. Yes, I'm coring out my 4-inch hole with an SDS drill. That's because ages ago I broke my core drill and I've just not got around to getting a new one yet. Crazy, I know. It's not ideal, but I don't own a core drill at the minute, so you do what you can. So now I've got to sweat that elbow off and put a T in there and an elbow on there. Obviously this pipe drops down, so it's got water in it. I've turned the water off. We just need to open this tap to get any last water off the drop. And then we'll leave that open and sweat that off. The sleeve on that is quite close, so probably going to melt it, but never mind. If you're ever struggling to sweat off a fitting, because it's just not draining down, get a hacksaw and just cut a bit of a slot in the middle of the fitting, middle of the elbow there. And that'll give any last bits of water a chance to get out, and it should sweat off easier. Most of you will know this, but sweating a fitting off, we're just heating it up to melt the solder enough so that we can take the fitting off. You'll see the solder melt. There's a great big bit of solder on the pipe on this one, so it's quite obvious. If not, you might see it sort of spit out of the inside of the fitting. Once it does that, it's ready to start taking off. It's just about ready now. There we go. So once you've heated that up, wiggle the fitting until it comes off, and then you'll see you've got the solder on the pipe there where it was inside the fitting. So you're gonna let that cool down, then clean that pipe up, and then we'll get the T on there and extend it down into that elbow. Now at this stage you might notice you've got a bit too much solder on the pipe. You see the one that goes through the wall to the tap, there's a droop or a dribble of solder that's not going to allow a fitting to go on, so you might need to heat it up again
just to clean it off so that you can actually get a fitting on. So that's all soldered up now. Let it cool down, then I'll clean it up, and it's going to be wrapped. But before I wrap it, I'll put the water back on, because then I can just check nothing's leaking, just inspect it. But yeah, it's pretty much that bit done. Right, so the water's back on. Looks good. So I'll clean that up now, and then we'll wrap it. So that's all wrapped, water's on. I'm gonna leave this radiator off because the plaster is gonna need to get in there. It's just gonna be in his way. I've called out the duct for the tumble dryer. That's done. I've just put the core back in. And then this one, this is for the hockey stick for the washing machine. He wants it going down below floor level so you can't see a waste pipe outside. He's already put in, the customer's already put in the waste pipe, although he has glued that elbow on. So I'm hoping I come out exact, but I definitely won't. So I'll have to redo that, but I'm going to come back with a core drill because this isn't man enough. It keeps, I mean, it's got that far. It's probably halfway through, but it keeps cutting out on its thermal cutout or something. So it did the event all right, but yeah, I do need to get myself a core drill. So just a quick chat about mental health. I did actually mention this on the first YouTube video I did back after my year-long break. And that was after lockdown. I was finding myself getting later and later in the mornings before I left the house to go to work. Now, most guys will leave at 7, half 7 to get to their first job at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was getting later and later, sometimes not leaving the house till 9, 9:30, because I was just dragging my feet in the mornings. I just wasn't motivated to get out of the house and go to work. And it's got better now. Like, I'm back in the swing of things now. Half of it was to do with the gyms closing, but I had no motivation at all. And also I'd found myself pulling up outside a job, and rather than just jumping out, getting in and cracking on, I was sitting in the van. I was looking on my phone. I was delaying going into the job. And the trouble with that is it then makes you later for your next job. It makes you later to get home. So it was just a vicious circle, really. And I was going through that through lockdown. It started when there was not that much work on, when the first lockdown went on, and no one really knew if they wanted someone in the house. Yeah, so I could totally get it. A lot of the comments last week were saying things like that. People just, certain jobs getting them down, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, constant worry when you're self-employed about, have you got enough work, or have you done everything right? Have you tightened that test nipple? Even things like putting a cap on a speed fit pipe, like you've just seen in that job. You can have that little bit of doubt in your mind, like, what if it does pop off? What if it does flood the house? And just little things can get to you. And the main thing is it's important to talk to each other, because a lot of the people who commented said, oh, I can't believe you have the same feelings I have. I can't believe you've gone through that. When in reality, probably a lot of us are going through it. We just don't talk about it because we're blokes and we don't talk. So use the comments if you want. If you're going through a tough time, drop it in the comments. Guarantee you someone else will have been through it and they might have some really good advice for you.
Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. My name is Schweb. I'm a gas engineer from Essex, and probably a few of you do know me from Instagram under the page. It's called The Gas Expert. Yeah, so on Wednesday, I woke up, didn't really feel like going to work. I was fasting as well, which, you know, you just get tired. It was the last day of fasting. So I got up in the morning, thought I'd load up the van and opened the back door, and there was a paint box sitting there, and it just tipped over straight onto the driveway, made a whole lot of mess, and I knew this was just a nightmare to clean now. I was just about to leave for work. So, you know, took about an hour or something just to jet wash and clean that all up, and then the whole road went all white. Well, I cleaned it. So anyway, then I got a call from a builder, and he actually said to me, Shweb, we've got the roofers that need to finish, they need to finish a certain section of this roof, and there's 2 radiator pipes up there that need to be moved across to the other side. I'll be working inside. A little section of it I had to go across from the scaffolding to the other side. However, they did close the main garden area off, so the only way I could get up there was to go from inside the house, walk across the beams, get onto the ladder outside, then hop onto the scaffold board, and then get to the second side of the pipe. They left at 3 o'clock, so I was just there by myself, and the owner and her son was downstairs, the lady. So I made a start from upstairs, I isolated the boiler downstairs on the flow and return so that they can still have the hot water while I'm working on the central heating upstairs. So I drained out the system from the radiator upstairs first, then I cut into the pipe, wet vac it all, put end caps, moved the first pipe across to the other side, clipped that all up. That was all done. Then I thought, all right, the second one I had to go from the outside down. Got all the tools across there, looked at the pipe, and I said, all right, it does look like a return pipe. Obviously you wouldn't think it's a gas pipe because just the way it is. I mean, if your boiler's in the kitchen, you wouldn't expect the gas run to be going up into the loft and then all the way across the house and then back down into the kitchen. I just didn't think of it. I thought it was just, I could only see 2 pipes, and I thought they were the primary flow and returns. So on the second one, started cutting the pipe. No water. And because the roof was open, exposed as well, so it was a bit windy, a little bit of rain. Anyway, I cut it, and then all of a sudden I just said, and I knew at that point I've cut the gas pipe. And you know, doesn't matter how good you are at your job, you'd always panic, or something will, you know, in the back of your mind you're thinking, shit, you know, you've cut the gas pipe. And that's exactly what happened. So, and you know, it just takes a few seconds. I mean, ran across the scaffolding board, put my foot back on those joists. The last one, it had like a plank of wood sticking out, and I put my foot on there, and that's where I slipped because my feet were probably a bit wet, or my shoe was. Right on my back, and I went through that plasterboard straight onto the ground floor. And at that moment, it just happened so quick. I mean, it was just a blink of an eye. I mean, nothing went through my head at that time. I was still thinking of that gas. So when I landed on the floor, I did make a loud noise like, ow, that bloody hurt. And obviously from the noise, the son was in the living room, and he came out and he saw me. But by that time I stood up straight away, and I was still panicking, thinking, got to turn that gas off. So I said to him, where's your gas meter? Because he said, he was looking at the roof more than what happened. And I was full of dust. I looked like Harry from Home Alone when he got that feathers on him, and he looked like, why are you dressed like a chicken? It was just one of those moments. And I said, dude, where's your gas meter? Looked around, I saw the box, opened it up, shut the gas off. And at that moment, it sort of hit me like I've just, you know, fell through that ceiling. And there was a little sharp pain on the side, and well, that was a nail, this thing. So this pierced, so this is what I landed on. So that pierced through my belt. It was a leather belt, went all the way down there, and I think a little bit of it went in as well. So I pulled that out. I was still standing there in shock, to be honest with you. Didn't feel any pain at that moment. And then the lady, the owner, she came out and she said, what happened? I said, I've just come through, I just fell through there. She looked in there, she was like, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. She said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I feel okay. She goes, I can't believe you're standing. I said, I can't believe that as well. To be honest with you, she said, look, let me get you some ice packs. I'm a nurse. You know, what's the chances of that? I ended up, she was a nurse as well. So she said, I've got some ibuprofens and paracetamols, you know, take these two. I said, I can't, I'm fasting. So, you know, I can't really have anything. I'll have it later on. She goes, no, have it now. I said, no, it's okay. I feel fine. It was just one of those things. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are or how experienced you are, you know, these things will happen. I mean, I felt all right. finished off the work, but I did phone up Superior Gas. I do work a lot with him, and he's been brilliant. I mean, he came down straight away, left what he was doing, came down there and finished that last pipe off for me upstairs. Okay, I thank him for helping me out. But these things happen, guys, and you just got to be careful when you're on site. Don't take risks. Other than that, I'll finish it on a funny note. I said to my daughter, can you leave the room because I've got to record a video? I said, what's the video for? I said, yeah, PB messaged me and he said just record something and he's going to put it on his YouTube for the weekend about what happened on Wednesday. She goes, and I said, I don't know what to say, to be honest. It's the first time recording a video. She goes, can't be that hard, just tell him you fell over. Being cute. Have a good one, guys.
Touch wood, I've never put my foot through a ceiling or fallen through a ceiling before. I know a lot of people who have. I know a plaster who was really badly injured. The fire brigade had to come and get him out. He broke both of his shoulders, collarbone. That was really nasty. Just wanted to say, The Gas Expert on Instagram, it's a great account to follow. He does some very good work. I'm just going to drop a couple of pictures in so you can see, but definitely check him out on Instagram and give him a follow.